Good morning, all. Let us start with the earlier conversation, that is distributed computing models. Why people are joining still? If you add to your calendar, then you no need to ask for admitting explicitly. Okay, please do it. You can check in your mail you received. In that, you can add to the calendar so that you can add directly to the meeting. Yeah. So this was the conversation, like distributed computing. We have discussed so far what is meant by distributed system and what is meant by distributed computing, and what are the goals of distributed computing system and all we have seen. Now, in order to implement this kind of environment, in order to perform distributed computing, certain system we have to establish. Then how we can able to model such kind of system? There are several alternatives exist for achieving our goal, that is establishing one system where we can able to perform distributed computing. One of those is mini computer. So a mini computer, another one is workstation, then workstation server, then processor pool, the final one is hybrid. These are the several alternatives that we have in order to establish a system where we can able to perform distributed computing. I got the intuition why we are studying these all? Yes? Yes, please respond.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So mini computer, in this particular one, there will be terminals where several users can log into this particular mini computer simultaneously. Then these all are connected over communication network. Whenever one particular request is requested by one user who is connected with some terminal, he could able to get it via this communication network from any of the other computers. This is what the mini computer model. It's actually the old model where we can able to perform distributed computing. Okay, we have discussed about the early ARPANET. What is meant by ARPANET? It is prior to the internet. We are having one some sort of researchers network that is called ARPANET. That is US based one. US based scientists established prior to the internet. With that idea only, internet has come into existence. And some days they have what you call referred the internet as ARPANET. Yeah, this is about mini computer model. Then workstation model. This also we have seen. The workstation model here is all are connected through communication network. And what is the difference between mini computer and this workstation? Can anyone able to tell? Yes. Workstation and mini computer. Yes. It's like a mini computer will be having very limited amount of processing power, whereas workstation will be having more resources within it. Okay, it's like physically what you can consider is whatever the CPU you will be having, that is a microcomputer. CPU or a laptop, all these we can consider as microcomputers. Whereas a mini computer, in the sense, old mainframe systems where one mainframe will be having, that we can consider as a mini computer. Those models were used long back, 1960s to 1980s, like that. We used to have mainframe computers where the volume is more, but capability of processing is limited. Okay, those are connected in the network. Then also we can able to perform distributed computing. This is what we can consider distributed computing. Yeah. Next, coming to the workstation. Workstation is a little extension to that, where we
Sir,
will
can
be
you
having.
share the screen?
Yeah. So, is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, these are the things we have we are discussing now. Distributed computing system models. What are the possible models in order to establish a system where we can able to perform distributed computing? Okay, one is mini computer, then workstation server, processor pool, and hybrid. Okay, now mini computer, in the sense that there will be several terminals associated with each mini computer, where we can say it as a mainframe, single mainframe we will be having. So processing power and all will be limited here in this. Whereas coming to this workstation model, it is also architecture wise it is same, but coming to the workstation capability, it is a little extent to the mini computer. There we will be having some resources within it. That is, whenever workstation user who logs into this workstation, he could able to use whatever the resources available locally within the workstation. Okay, if some resource which is required by the user is not available and is available in some other workstation, then via network you could able to request it and get it, that particular request. That such sort of communication network is established in order to perform distributed computing. And one more difference between this mini computer and workstation is, in the workstation only one user will be requesting from one particular workstation. In the workstation model, one user will be logged into workstation, then that user only will be requesting from that workstation. I'm saying. See here, this mini computer model. Here we are having several terminals, so all these users can log into this particular system simultaneously, and they can make. But whereas in workstation, only one terminal we can consider. Although we are having in many computer many terminals for associated with one computer, here for workstation we will be having only one terminal. So like that we can assume. So that is the another difference of mini computer workstation model and workstation model. Okay, here if you see, distributed computing system based on the workstation model consists of several workstations interconnected by the network. Here main idea is, whatever the idle time we'll be having at each workstation, that idle time we will be utilizing by what you call giving the service to other user who connected with some other workstation who required this particular resource. So here the idea of the workstation model is to interconnect all these workstations by a LAN, so that ideal workstation may be used to process jobs of users. Okay, this is a workstation model. Here in this, whatever the home workstation where user will submit the job, okay, that we call it as a home workstation. And if that is not available, if the resource requested by the user is not available at the home workstation, then that will be forwarded to the other workstation where that resource is available. Such kind of mechanism is established in order to perform distributed computing. And there are two notions called diskful workstation, another one is a diskless workstation. Diskful in the sense, within this workstation, if you have a memory, to store or get the data or store the data, then we can say such kind of workstation as diskful workstation. If you don't have such kind of what you call memory exist within workstation, such kind of workstation we call it as diskless workstation. There are two notions, just what you call two terms in order to get acquainted with this particular terminology. That's it. Okay, this is a workstation model. Next, coming to another one, that is workstation server model. Here in this, we are having several workstations and some servers as well, like file server, database server, print server. Like this, we are having several servers as well. So here, user will log into workstation called home workstation. Okay, as we have discussed earlier in the workstation model, user will log into one particular workstation. That workstation we call it as home workstation. Okay, in general, normal computation activities will be performed at local or home workstation itself. But if user requires some specific request, some specific resource where we cannot perform at work. It is like in the workstation model, one-to-one thing will be there. But here, what we are considering is all together we will be having one file server, one database server, one print server. Like these, several servers will be there. Whenever a home workstation requires some sort of resource to be utilized, then that will be forwarded to the corresponding server. Such kind of environment is set in order to perform distributed computing. Okay, see here, normal computation activities are performed at the user's home station itself. But request for services provided to special servers are sent to server providing such kind of service. So this is workstation server model. Okay, and here in this model, user process need not migrate to server machines for getting the work done by those machines. Just yeah, these are servers, it could able to process the request and it can able to perform. Whereas in workstation model, what will happen is whenever it requires one particular service, then it has to migrate to this corresponding workstation, and job has to be executed here, and again that result will be getting to this home workstation. Whereas in this, what will happen? Just it's like a client server environment we have in the workstation server model. Okay, this is workstation server model. Next, another one is processor pool model. In this particular one, basically what will happen is just before going to see that, let us discuss these two. In this workstation model, if home workstation could not able to process the request, then it will be forwarded to corresponding workstation. Whereas in this workstation server model, if a home workstation could not able to process the request, then that request will be forwarded to corresponding server. Okay, these things are known to the end user. I'm repeating once again, these things are known to the end user. Why? Because users will log in and will try to perform here the job, but if he could not able to do, then he has to request a corresponding server. Whereas in this next one, processor pool model, here what we will do is whatever the resources that we have, computational resources or storing resources or whatever it may be the resources, those all will be pooled and maintained at one end, and several terminals will be connected via the network. Here if you see, these all are terminals. There won't be any computational capability exist for these terminals. Just it will it's like just logged in, and whatever the requested by the user, that will be forwarded to this processor pool. Okay, in this processor pool only we will be having file server, database server, vertical print server. These all kinds of servers will be having some computational power will be having, and storage capability will be having. Like that, several processing capabilities exist at one end, and for the user, what we will how the system will look like is all together we are having as a single system where we can able to perform any task. Got my point? Here terminals are connected. Through this terminal, user can request, okay, he can ask something which can be done by a print server, which can be done by database server, it can be done by file server, it can be done by some processors. These all things can be requested by the user through these terminals by assuming or by visualizing in such a way that there is only one system which could able to perform all these activities. Got my point? That is processor pool model. What we are doing is all the processing capabilities we are making as one particular system, that is pool. Okay, that pool can be connected through these terminal with these terminals through communication network. Okay, this is a processor pool model. Here you see it is based on the observation that most of the time a user does not need any computing power, but once in a while he or she may need a very large amount of computing power for a short time. That means in general, if you keep some functionality here, some functionality here, some functionality here, in addition to that some additional functionality we can acquire from these servers, means what will happen, we have to spend some expenditure here, right? Instead of that, what is the idea here is, of course there are some advantages for this and of course for this as well, but the thing is whatever the resources that we will be having, those resources needed by corresponding users for short amount of time but not more time. That is what the idea consideration, in order to get the intuition of this why we need to pool all the processors and all. What is the required reason is, whatever the computational power we are having at each and every terminal, that computational power may not be sufficient. That is one thing. And if you keep more computational power at each and every terminal, then also it will be not efficient in terms of expenditure that we are spending. Why? Because we don't require those that much computational power all the time, but at some point we may require that much computational power. So what can be done here is, whatever the computational power we are having, those that entire thing we will make it as a one group, and whenever one user required that particular computational power, he can contact and immediately as a single system he could able to perform his job. That is what the idea of a processor pool model. Okay, so here processors are pooled together to be shared by users as needed. Whenever needed, we can utilize. The pool of processors consists of a large number of microcomputers and mini computers attached to the network. Okay, here what we'll be having, mini computers, microcomputers, of course servers, all these we will be connecting, that we will consider as a pool of processors. Each processor in the pool has its own memory to load and run a system program or an application of a distributed computing system. So each computing resource or processing resource will be having its own memory, so that whatever the application users want to execute through this terminal, he could able to give, and correspondingly each system can independently work as a distributed computing system. This is what the idea of processor pool. There is no concept of a home machine here. Understand the difference between workstation and this processor pool model. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah. Next, here there is no concept of a home machine, so just user logs onto a system as a whole. That's it. This is processor pool model. Now we have seen about the mini computer, workstation model, workstation server model, then processor pool model, and coming to the last one, that is hybrid model. Hybrid model in the sense we will be combining more than one. That's what the basic meaning of a hybrid model, right? So here in this, what we are combining is workstation server model we are having, right? Workstation server model that we will be combining with the pool of processors model. What is the idea of workstation server model? Workstations will be having there some sort of resources are available within home workstations. Then additional capabilities, additional requirements can be what you call fulfilled by making use of several servers. So here we are combining with the pool of processors in such a way that processors will be what you call grouped in whenever the required computational power is needed is not sufficient. Like suppose we are having at a workstation, we are having 500 GB of capacity to store the data and all, but we require some 1000 GB. Then another this 500 and some 250, some 250, like that we will be combining all together. We will be considering will be constructing as one pool of processors. Okay, that is having the required resource. I'm saying in terms of this storage, but it can be considered as a processing capability. Understand? So a pool of processors and this workstation model we are combining together in order to build a hybrid model where we can able to perform distributed computing. This is the idea of a hybrid model. Here, see here, the processors in the pool can be allocated dynamically for computations that are too large for workstations. Whenever one workstation processing capability is not sufficient, then we will be combining with some other workstations resources where we can able to achieve or we can able to fulfill the requirement of the user. Okay, that requires several computers concurrently for efficient execution. We will be combining dynamically. That is the idea of pool of processors. Okay, here in this hybrid model gives guaranteed response to interactive jobs by allowing them to be processed on local workstations of the users. Here, guaranteed response to interactive jobs in the sense, suppose here we are having some processing capability within workstation, and if that is not sufficient, then we will go to another, we will be combining other processing capabilities with this, so that the response will be interactive, and the response will be coming in a short period of time. That is what the idea of this guaranteed response to interactive jobs. Got my point here? Hybrid model gives guaranteed response to interactive jobs in the sense whatever the home workstation capability we are having, that we will be what you call strengthening by taking the help from other resources where those are available. Understand? So processing will be performed here only. Some jobs can be performed there, but interactive vertical responses we will be getting. Why? Because prime computation will be performed here only. Okay, that is what the idea of this hybrid model. Next, hybrid model is more expensive to implement than the workstation server model or the processor pool model. This is another thing. Why? Because here we need to establish these this kind of networks where we could able to get the computational power from other workstations. So it will be difficult to build hybrid model. So we have seen about several models. Now we will try to compare which which computing model is applicable in most of the contexts. Of course, every model is having its own advantage and disadvantage. Which one is more suitable in which context, that we will be seeing. Okay, why we are having these all models? Just you give answer. Yes. Why we are having these all models? Mini computer, workstation server, pool of processors. These all models. Why we are discussing? Yes, please respond. These all are several alternatives in order to build a system where we can able to perform distributed computing. Understand my point? Shall I repeat once? Yes, please respond. There are several alternatives exist for building a system where we can able to perform distributed computing. So out of those, these we have seen mini computer, workstation server, pool of processors, and a hybrid model. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So now the comparison out of these all models, workstation server model is most widely used model. Okay, for what? For distributed computing systems, we prefer to use workstation server model. Okay, large number of users only perform simple interactive. Why? Because the what you call idea here is, earlier we have seen about most of these users will not use entire time or entire computational power of the resources available within the workstation. Understand? So if we use workstation server model, then we can able to give that whatever the computational power and all we are having, those we can keep in the server. Okay, some minimal computational power only we can keep in the workstation, so that we can able to utilize whenever we require. It's like most of the users will be performing some interactive tasks like editing jobs, sending emails, executing small program. These tasks will be performed. Okay, for these tasks, workstation server model is efficient. If user requires more computational power, then he can able to contact server anytime, isn't it? Yes or no? Here, understand, workstation server model. At workstation, will be having some computational power. Okay, some what you call memory as well. If it is a disk full workstation, some memory also we will be having. So, in order to perform editing jobs, sending emails, executing small programs, these all things can be done at workstation itself. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Whenever it requires, user requires some additional what you call processing capability, then he can contact anytime to the server. So this workstation server model is ideal for simple this distributed computing building. Okay, buildings distributed computing system. This model is suitable. However, in a working environment that has groups of users who often perform jobs needing massive computation, then processor pool model is more suitable. Okay, if we have this kind of situation where we are having groups of users who requires massive computation, then processor pool model is suitable. Okay, there are two suitable models. One is workstation server, another one is processor pool. When workstation server model is suitable, in general, where users will be performing small tasks more time, then we will be preferring workstation server model. When we will be preferring processor pool, when we have groups of users, okay, groups of users who often performs massive computation, then we will be preferring processor pool model. Okay, this is about distributed computing models. Okay, so altogether, just I'll recap once. Elements of distributed computing. Here in this, we have seen several paradigms: message passing, client server or peer-to-peer paradigm. Next, remote procedure or remote method. Next, object request broker. Okay, object space. These are the 5 alternatives we have seen. If you consider from all these, abstraction level will go from high to low. It's like object space or collaborative application will be having more abstraction compared to message passing. Like that, we are having this list of distributed application paradigms. Next, we have seen several alternatives for building distributed computing system: mini computer, workstation server, processor pool, and hybrid. Out of these, which is having the which is more suitable is workstation server in general. If users require more computational power every time, then processor pool we can consider as the suitable one. Okay, is it fine till this point?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Next, yeah. Now, let us see, discuss one concept, intuition, like yeah. If you need to travel, let us consider if you need to travel from Hyderabad to Vijayawada. Okay, from Hyderabad to Vijayawada, you have to travel by bus. Okay, these are some sort of example I am trying to build. Okay, try to understand. So, what is our requirement to reach Vijayawada? Okay, by bus. This is the scenario. So now you will be trying to book bus. After booking, you will be receiving something like seat number, your name, and seat number, and all you will be getting as the acknowledgement. After going to the bus station, are you able to follow?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. After going to the bus station, how you will be identifying your bus?
Number wise.
Details on the bus ticket.
Yes, a bus number will be given in the ticket.
Service number.
Very good. Service number, right? So that service number, why they are saying as service number? Okay, keep that one aside. This is one particular example. Okay, and another thing is like, what is the website that we will be using for train ticket booking?
IRCTC.
IRCTC. Now, in that, food also will be provided, right? If we opt. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that food is a service. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Food is the service. Like that, that is meals and service, or meals service or something. They will be giving as one term. Okay, that is the service. Similarly, another thing, if like any other example like this, not only traveling, I'm saying a service. Yeah, please tell any other example.
It could be a hotel stay or something like that.
Very good, very good. Yeah. If you stay in the hotel, then they will be doing some room service, right? Yeah. So some sort of services we have seen. Just to give some sort of intuition only, I'm discussing this all. Yeah. Now the thing is, service is like first example, that is from Hyderabad to Vijayawada is the requirement that is being provided by one particular service. Okay, what is the service? With service number. That's it. Service number will be referred to that particular service, Hyderabad to Vijayawada. Similarly, meals service, that is another one. Next, room service, that is another one. Like that, several services we are having. Now, what is the requirement? What is the idea here is, whatever the distributed system we established, in that particular system, we will be having several computers, right? We will be having several computers in the distributed system which are connected in the network. Now, whatever the service is being offered by one system, this particular system will offer this service, this one will offer this service, like this. Based upon those services, we will be building a distributed system. Such kind of whatever, don't send this numbers and all now itself. Why you are sending? Yeah. Instead of systems alone, what we are trying to establish is some logical architecture, some logical network based on these services. Suppose in the network, let us consider service 1, service 2, service 3. We are having like 9 services we are having in the network. Now, one particular user wants to perform some particular wants to utilize one service. Then he could able to contact this particular service, and independently he could get the required service. Understand my point? So many services we are having in the network. Okay, we what is our idea is we are building a logical network out of these services itself, not systems. In one particular system itself, we can get 2 or 3 services. In other system, we may get only 1 service. In other system, we may get 2 services. In other system, we may get 5 services. But what is our requirement? What is the logical architecture nodes? What is it meant by node? It is single service. Like this, we will be establishing a network. Such kind of logical architecture we will consider as service-oriented architecture. I'm repeating once again. With the services in the distributed system, we will be establishing a logical architecture that we call it as service-oriented architecture. And now, if you try to establish or if you try to perform some computation by using these services, such kind of computing we call it as service-oriented computing. Got my point? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now let us see formally. Yeah. Service-oriented computing. What is the essence of this one is to develop software systems that employ services. That is, here we are having SOA. See this diagram. It is visible, ma?
No, sir, it's a little too small.
Okay, it is very small. Okay, SOA, that word is these letters are fine, right? SOA.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this SOA is nothing but service-oriented architecture. Service-oriented architecture. It is a well-established word in the software industry. Okay, and now here, if you see, we are having people, process, platform, practice. These all are several stakeholders of this particular SOA. In this particular one, what we are trying to establish or develop is software system where we can able to employ services. If one particular system gives one service, that will be part of this SOA. Understand? That can be utilized by any person who is in this particular network, service-oriented architecture. So let us see what is a service. Now, what is meant by service? A service is an autonomous unit of automated business logic accessible to other system. Just it is independent unit where it is achieving some business logic. It will execute some business logic that can be accessible to other systems. Got my point? What is meant by service? Yes, it is an independent unit of business logic which can be accessible to other systems. Okay, it can be a business process or sub process or an activity. That is service. Or in other words, services are autonomous. Autonomous in the sense we can say independent, discrete. Some specified steps are defined for the service and reusable units of business functionality. Suppose the same service can be given several times, right? That is reusability. Try to link with Hyderabad, Vijayawada, such kind of thing, so that you will come to know that is the intuition. Yeah, services are autonomous, discrete and reusable units of business functionality, exposing its capabilities in a form of contracts. Okay, services can be independently evolved, moved, scaled even in runtime. Okay, this is about what is meant by service. Next, what is meant by architecture? What is service architecture? Is collection of services which are classified into types and arranged into layers. Several layers will be having some logical classification or arrangement. We will be having such kind of thing. We call it as service architecture. Got my point? Yes. Yes. Is there any doubt, ma'am? Is it clear or not? Yes, please respond. I get the idea what is meant by service. Yes, it is independent process where we will be performing some business logic. That's it. That is a service. So, service architecture in the sense with all these services, if you establish some sort of logical arrangement, then such kind of thing we call it as service architecture. Okay. Please respond, ma'am. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next, this SOA. SOA is a software architecture in which business functionality are logically grouped and encapsulated. Here, some sort of business activity we have to perform. Then these are modeled as services. Individual things we will be modeling as services, and those are logically grouped and encapsulated. Okay, these are grouped. Yes. Any doubt? Okay. Here you see SOA is a software architecture model in which required business functionality is logically grouped into self-contained, distinct and reusable units called services. Of course, we know what is meant by service. That is only given here. Self-contained, distinct and reusable units we are considering as services. Okay. In order to perform business functionality, what we are doing is we are grouping these all services to represent a high-level business concept. Okay. So now in this SOA, what we are having services can be distributed over a network and can be reused to create new business applications. Same service can be used for several applications, isn't it? Same service we can use in order to build several business applications. Why? Because each service is independent to each other, so automatically we can make it's like um, in some sense we can consider defining a function. Suppose square root function, if you define square root function, if you define, then that particular square root function is the service which is providing a service that independently it could able to execute. That is one thing, by taking the input. So independently we could able to perform, we could able to calculate square root of the given number. It is not depending upon it. Any number of times we can able to utilize it. That is reusability. And now those particular that particular square root function we can utilize in calculating roots of a quadratic equation, or in some other scientific applications also we can reuse the same square root function. In the same way, if a service is identified, if service is available, then that service we can utilize in several distributed applications, several business applications where we require such kind of service. Got my point here? As you are familiar with this coding and all, that's why I have linked to that. Yeah. Next, it contains contract with the specification of the purpose, functionality, interfaces, usage, all these things. Like how you have to invoke the service. What is the period of contract that we can make use of that particular service. Like if you consider a square root itself, okay, informally I'm saying square root itself, then you have to pass single argument, isn't it? You have to pass single argument. That argument should also be a number, yes or no? That can be a float or real number or a whole number, but you need to provide a number. So such kind of specification we will be having, and what is the functionality will be is defined. Okay, interface in the sense, interface in how you will be giving that argument. That is suppose two arguments we have to give. What is the order? What is the order of first argument? What is the order of second argument? Like suppose let us assume there exists a function called substring. Substring of one particular string and a number of characters. String will be given and a number of characters given. Just I am defining one new function. What is the interface that we are having for this function is providing two arguments. What are the types of two arguments? One is the number of characters, another one is from which string. Okay, fine. This is the specification. But what is the interface in the sense in which order we have to give those two arguments? Okay, how we have to, and what is the return type of this? What kind of value we will be getting? So, these all things are the specifications. Such kind of thing is exist for even services. Okay, don't consider service as the function. Just to understand these terms, I am linking to the familiar one called function. Okay, so now this is about SOA. Services can be distributed over a network and can be reused to create multiple applications, and these services contain contract with some specification of the purpose, next functionality, interfaces, and usage. This is about SOA and its service. What is meant by service-oriented computing? Of course, you can guess easily. In informally, what we can say is whatever the SOA we have established, on top of it, the computation that we are performing is nothing but service-oriented computing, isn't it? Yes or no? Like distributed computing in the sense, on distributed system, whatever the computing will be performing, that is distributed computing. Similarly here, service-oriented computing are services that provide autonomous, platform-independent computational elements that can be described, published, discovered, orchestrated, and programmed using standard protocols to build networks of collaborating applications. Although it is too lengthy, while reading you can understand everything we have covered. collaborating applications distributed within and across organizational boundaries. Okay, this is about a service-oriented computing. Clear? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now what you have to do is you enter your roll number by order. You please make it ready. Whenever your turn comes, immediately you press enter. That's it. After entering, you can leave. Starting from 2 or 3. I have shown you in the last class the numbers. If you want, I will show. Yeah, this is the list. Starting from 2, 3, 7. This is the list. And I'm sharing the screen, so automatically whoever enters, it is visible here, right? Immediately you can enter your number. Yeah, start from 2. 3, 7, 3, 7, 19.